for that. All right, we're going to stay on this subject one more time here. Joining us now is House Majority Leader Steve Scalise from the great state of Louisiana. Steve, thank you for coming on. You probably heard Kevin Hassett extolling the economic growth impact of President Trump's tax cuts. Let me ask you, in terms of what Speaker Johnson is saying, what Senate Leader Thune is saying, first up, we could get a combined House-Senate budget resolution by the middle of April. And it sounds like, Steve, and this is my question to you, is it will be one big, beautiful bill. It sounds like the Senate has come around to your point of view. Is that the case?
They have, Larry, and you and I have talked about this many times, why it's so important to have one bill. President Trump has been all in on the idea of one big, beautiful bill, was just in the Oval Office talking with him about this on Monday, and he is really pushing as well. That's why I think you're seeing the Senate moving even faster now. We've got to get this bill moved through as quickly as possible to get those big bounces in the economy that Kevin Hassett was talking about. You know, when you think about the economic growth that comes along with number one, not just a lower and simplified tax code, but the certainty that you get, because right now there is a lot of uncertainty that's holding back a lot of trillions, I've heard, of investment that could be coming into the economy that's not right now until we get this done. Let's get it done soon and then get the big bounce that comes with it for the American workers and the economy.
Do you think House Republicans will sign on to a permanent tax cut? That's number one. Number two, I have heard, and our own Chad Pergram is reporting, that they might also sign on to the so-called current policy baseline, which just means essentially extending the tax cuts would be deficit neutral. So will the tax cuts be permanent? They weren't in the House budget. And second, will you sign on to the current policy? Because it's a permanent, it's been around for 7 now, into 8 years. The revenues are the revenues. There's no reason to rescore it again. Can you get those two things into a amended House budget bill?
Yeah, and the good news on that, Larry, on both fronts, the answer is yes. And the two are tied together because, you know, I think some people initially were worried that if you go to current policy baseline, it would be used to avoid cuts. We cannot avoid cuts. You know, with the deficit, with the debt, we have got to start getting control over spending. And President Trump's got that as a top priority, too. So making sure that we get the savings as well as going to current policy as baseline allows you to go to permanency instead of 10-year renewal. And then you get an even bigger bounce. 10-year renewal would be great. A permanent tax code would be even better. So we want the Senate to add that in. They're the side that's really got to address that. Their parliamentarian is the one who makes those decisions. It's a Senate issue, really not a House issue. Let's get it added in. Still do the real savings so that we get that economic balance and a lower deficit at the same time. All that's being worked on together. I think when you see this bill come back and then we start the reconciliation process, it's going to be full steam ahead.
Do you think the Senate can get to the $1.5 trillion of budget savings that are implicit in the House budget?
Yes. And, you know, look, we went back and forth on this a lot. It took us probably a month of intense meetings with every element of our conference. We've got ultra fiscal hawks. We've got people in swing moderate districts that had very different views on this. And we got everybody in a room, and that's where we settled
Steve,
on $1.5 trillion. The Senate's going to find out the same thing.
Steve, hang on. I don't mean to be rude or interrupt, but Mr. Trump just made a statement on this just a moment ago. I want to play some tape. We're rolling it. Hang on one second. Here it comes.
Mm-hmm. Now we need Congress to pass the largest tax cuts in American history, and Mike is going to get that. And I think we can finally say one big, beautiful bill, because everybody's there. I spoke with John Thune, who's doing a terrific job also, and the senators, and we want one big, beautiful bill. Just put it all in that bill, and we'll figure a way to have it passed, right? We'll figure a way. But we have... it'll be the largest tax cuts in American history. When you add that onto the fact that if they don't pass this, you will have the largest tax increase by far.
So, Steve Scalise, that sure sounds like one big, beautiful bill. I mean, you said it
Great
several
news.
times.
Look,
I know.
Yeah, President Trump has been consistently pushing for that one big, beautiful bill. I think now that he's being more vocal about it and pushing the Senate, I think he wanted to get the government funding issue taken off the table. We did that with the CR that we passed through the House, and Chuck Schumer had to swallow. The left's gone livid over that, but that removed a big obstacle. Now President Trump's got his exclusive focus on getting reconciliation done in one big, beautiful bill so that we can get that economic balance for the hardworking families, no tax on tips, all the things he talked about during the campaign, plus energy security, Larry, border security, the other things that go with it.
And Mr. Majority Leader, question, Kevin Hassett was singing the praises for middle-income wage earners of the no tax on tips and the no tax on overtime. And let's include in that the benefits to seniors, most of whom are essentially middle class. Now, extending the Trump tax cuts, and then there's the second tranche, the 2.0. I guess my question is, can you put the 1.0 and the 2.0 in the same bill, or do you need a second bill for the 2.0? I can't quite nail that down, all my sources and so forth. What are you thinking here?
Let me nail it down for you, Larry. You absolutely can do it in that one big, beautiful bill.
Right.
Renewing existing tax policy is the first thing you do. But then Jason Smith and the Ways and Means Committee have also been meeting on the additional items. We've sat down with President Trump to go over things like no tax on tips. There's other things we're looking at, too, more pro-growth policies. All of that will be looked at. Now, ultimately, the Ways and Means has to make all the numbers add up, and that's when they can put it all together. Both renewal and new policy can be in that same bill coming out of the Ways and Means Committee, and then we'll put it all together with the energy policies and the border policies. The debt ceiling will be handled for 2 years, so President Trump won't have to worry about that.
Yep.
The deficit reduction components, all that will be in that one big, beautiful bill. We'll put it all together, bring it hopefully by the summer past that, and get it to the president's desk.
All right. Sounds like you're on a roll. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, thank you ever so much for coming on the show.